we're sort of in, I guess what Winston Churchill called the beginning of the end is where we may be in the James Forcillo, Sami Yatim case. Forcillo, of course, is the Toronto police officer who shot and killed the teenage Yatim in July of 2013 on a Toronto streetcar. And it's been a very long process. He was on trial for second-degree murder and attempted murder. He was bizarrely acquitted of the murder but convicted of the attempted murder, and today he was sentenced, and he was sentenced to 6 years in the penitentiary, 1 year above the mandatory minimum sentence, which the judge decided was not unconstitutional. The defense had tried to suggest it was. And that would seem to be the end of it. We even had a moment in the courtroom where Officer Forcillo's hands were put behind his back and he was handcuffed, and you could hear the click of the handcuffs as they shut. And he was led away, and for all intents and purposes, it seemed to be the end of it. But in fact, later today at the Court of Appeal, his lawyers, Forcillo's lawyers, will be trying to have him granted bail pending an appeal of the conviction in the first place. All of this will take perhaps some time. It may not even happen today, but certainly the lawyers are trying to get Forcillo, who is being held in the cells behind and below me. They will be trying to get him out today or soon, pending the appeal of his conviction. So it's not really the end of the road, it's not really the end, it's the beginning of the end. A very sad story this is, as everyone knows. Sami Yatim was just a teenager when he was shot 9 times in total. 3 shots in the first volley, 6 in the second. It was the second volley that the jury found was illegal and excessive use of force. The judge, in sentencing Forcillo to 6 years, said that this should send a message to police officers that they use lethal force only as a last resort. I think that's the most important message for the police. And then the judge also said, though, that this should not be taken as a reflection upon the excellent work that the Toronto Police Service and most of its members do most of the time. So it's sad, obviously, for Sami Yatim's family who were here today. It's sad, I think. Many people regard this, I think, as a victory because a police officer has been convicted and sentenced to jail. But I think it's a lousy day. I'm not arguing with the verdict. It was a jury verdict upheld by or reinforced by the judge. But it was certainly a curious verdict, and it should always be a sad day when a police officer is sent to prison, especially for something as tragic as this was. So at the beginning of the end, that's it for me.